Welcome to No Major Opinions, Episode 6. I'm Lurk-chan.
I am Nigleria.
And I am Dark Aries.
What's been up? We missed the month of May for our May episode, and then we didn't even announce anything about it, so sorry about that. But we are now back, so welcome back.
You mean March, right?
Well, it was last month, right?
Yeah, March.
Yep. I meant March.
Are you going to edit that out or just keep it in?
I'm going to keep it in, probably.
Okay.
Aries, what's been new since March?
What's been new since March? I bought a capture card that I got like last week and didn't install yet, but there are some PCI Express kind of like composite in as video capture cards on AliExpress for like $20. And I bought one so I can test it to see if it'd be maybe a good recommendation for people looking for capture cards that would do that, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I bought new-ish headphones, and by newish I mean they were $50 on Kijiji. They're the Bayer Dynamic DT770s, the studio edition, but only one side works, and the ear pads are pretty grimy. But I'm hoping that, I already have new pads coming in. I'm hoping I can get the other side working, but if I can't, they'll just still be kind of good headphones to use during NASA events that kind of just monitor the stream and stuff like that when we eventually get back to that. And it was tax season. I ended up not owing the government thousands of dollars like I thought for CERB, which is the COVID money thing that the government was giving if you basically can't work because your job relies on people. And because of my good saving habits, I rewarded myself with spending a lot of money, and I got myself a Ricoh GR3 Street Edition, which is basically a pocket camera with a very nice sensor, and I also plan to use it as like a webcam for myself and during NASA events. So yeah, I bought stuff to use for stuff. That's been my stuff.
Nice. Larry, how about you? What's been new since March?
Finished third year of school.
Nice.
With the free time, I fucking started playing Factorio again, which is dangerous. Other than that, not much really.
That's cool. That's cool. I have gotten some new things in for like my 3D printer, and like I'm such a genius. I mounted the bracket for it wrong, like upside down, so it wasn't going below the hot end of the printer. And I was so confused as like, what do you mean? It's like built for it. And of course it's because it's upside down. So finally got that figured out after a while. And I also started speedrunning a new video game as of recently, Atole Princess, with an E at the end for some reason, for the Sharp X68000. It's an exclusive for that system, Japanese computer system. And it turns out you can go really fast because you get these shoes in the second level, and then when you jump and then hold down the jump button again and you land, you like start dashing and you get like these like shadow frames of yourself behind you. You go really, really quick. So it's been fun. There's a lot of like quick kills with the bosses where you activate a special by holding down your attack, and then like it charges up and then you let it go. And you like stand inside of the enemy's hitboxes and just let all of the projectiles hit them as much as possible. So it's been nice. It's been fun. What do we got for news for North American Speedrunner Assembly?
Submissions are open.
Yeah, that's a big one. We announced them. I can't even remember when we announced them, but they're closing. I don't even remember when they're closing. So supposedly, we opened them on April the 17th. The event is happening June 4th to the 6th, so that one weekend. And the submissions close May 1st. There's still a week left for submissions. We'll see what people submit and what we'll get into the marathon.
Yeah, assuming I can get the edit done quick enough for there to actually still be a week left.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is our replacement for NASA 2021 because we had to cancel the in-person event again because of COVID. But NASA 2022 is going to be in the same place. So eventually we're going to do NASA 2020. It's going to happen.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure people are so kind of over online events. Like, I am kind of over online events. There's been so many of them. Everyone basically shops around their same speed game to all the marathons. So like before, you might have noticed that there was like one person and they would submit like their one speed game and it would be in all the marathons that they kind of submitted. But now, because there's so many more marathons, that those people submit to, and it's just like information kind of overload. I'm kind of done with it all. Just seeing the same stuff over and over again. I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot of unique submissions for NASA 2021, just to kind of spice things up. Things are a lot more interesting when people have newer speed games and stuff. So
Yeah, definitely. And we'll talk about Burnout a little bit later in the episode, but that's definitely a part of it. Online marathon Burnout.
yeah,
Speaking of online marathons, though, we do have also submissions open for Two Worlds shenanigans. Gamer House HD. We want Gamer House HD. I don't know anything about this marathon other than that it's Gamer House and that the advertisement he posted had like one of those rubber horse heads on it.
is that what's in the picture? I didn't even.
That's what. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. Okay, I understand now. That's actually kind of clever.
That's the only thing I could tell in the thing. I know nothing else about the marathon other than that, and that submissions are open. Also live right now is Speed Docs.
Yeah, so they have their launch party is live right now. By the time this gets released, it'll probably be soon over. They released their Legend of Zelda Wind Waker speedrun documentary that goes over kind of like the history of Wind Waker speedrunning. So they've decided to do a launch party marathon for it, where there was also a watch party of the documentary. I actually helped out with that event. They're kind of using our marathon kind of set up for it with the remote computer and OBS and all that stuff, and I helped code their layouts, which means that I also did some improvements that will then be used for the NASA 2021 layouts. I didn't get to catch their whole documentary, but I got to watch a good part of it, and super interesting. People should give it a watch.
And our last bit of NASA-related news is we did a Puzzle General rebroadcast.
Yeah, so I can, again, speak kind of more towards that. So Puzzle General has had their Tetris Attack tournament, speedrun tournament, ongoing. And by the way, the production value on that is pretty legit. Cards of the Heart has done a lot of work into, like for example, in Tetris Attack, the background color on the difficulty menu changes depending on the difficulty you select. And in the group stages, there was kind of like some meta thing because the loser would pick the next difficulty that they would speedrun, because it was a best of 5 and there's 4 difficulties to pick from. So the loser would pick the next difficulty they speedrun. And depending on what difficulty is chosen, the background animation and the layout changes to match that too. So you basically kind of inherently know what difficulty they're playing beyond the text label. There's like the winning animations, like the person who win, the star kind of explodes and then is in the little score tracker. Like there's a lot going on with that tournament. And they finished their group stages and there was like a break, a week-long break, just so people could get like a breather and they could start scheduling the quarterfinals. And I figured, more people should maybe check out the tournament. So we asked permission of the rest of the gang there and asked permission of the NASA gang here, and we rebroadcasted the tournament. And I think there was a good amount of people who got introduced to the tournament. So you can't go wrong with just introducing people to more good speedrun content. So
Right on. So upcoming events. What do we got upcoming?
after doing kind of the look on Hararo and Onigas and all that stuff, GTA Marathon is going to be live soon, I believe, in a little over a week. And the GTA Marathon crew consists of people like Zotan and English Ben, who are really cool people. They actually helped us out with NASA 2020 kind of layout stuff and hosting and all that stuff. So, really cool marathon. License-thon has their submissions open, which is a marathon solely for licensed video games. So like movies, TV shows, and all that stuff. And Really, Really Longathon also has open submissions.
On the topic of licensed games, I'd really like to see a marathon that's like composed exclusively of games chosen by Macaw.
That'd be pretty sweet. Macaw-thon.
Macaw-thon. It could even do it could be like a mystery tournament.
Oh, that could be good.
People would be playing like early 2000s mobile games or PC 98 games. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Now that is an interesting thought. I really like that idea.
Shit, want to do it for NASA 2022? Hopefully in person.
We'll put it on the list of things to do, and then if we actually do it is a very different question. It's like the elusive second stream. Always within reach, but we just never have everything aligned to do it.
So, some speedrunning news. Main one that caught my eye, at least. Well, there's two, but first one is the changes coming up to speedrun.com. There's some shenanigans with their ads, where they're rolling them out now for even logged-in users and stuff like that. Kind of whack. Not that I see ads anyways, because I use ad blockers, but what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's not just like one ad or two, because I don't think people would really complain about that. Especially because I believe there used to be one or two ads, but they were more curated, like very curated in a sense that they would have some sort of speedrunning relevance or video game relevance. Now it's just like pure on AdSense stuff. And there was like 5 or 8 ads on a single page, to the point where it was a nuisance even being like a leaderboard moderator and stuff, because it kind of blocked your ability to click things and stuff like that. It was really abhorrent looking at screenshots people were sharing on Twitter and stuff about it.
Wait, were there ads on like moderation editing a game page? Because that would just be like hilarious.
It's basically the top, the right, like the whole right-hand side column, and part of the left, I think. Like, wherever ads were, they stayed on every single page. So it doesn't matter what you were doing on the website, there was ads everywhere. At least from what it looks like was going on. I also use ad blockers, so I there are sites and content that I disable my ad blocker for.
I don't.
But with just in recent speedrun.com, I don't know. They aren't on my whitelist.
I usually just don't whitelist anything, because it's like odds are if you do that even like a little bit too much, you will get malware.
Yeah, I also think ads are just sort of unethical. I'm not looking for advertisements when I'm trying to find like a speedrun time. Fuck off.
I don't know if I would call them unethical. I guess it's because it's like a lot of people that might be interested in speedruns are kids, potentially. So it's like advertising towards kids, I'd say, is definitely unethical.
Yeah, I mean, advertising is just a whole discussion. I just don't like it when I go to find a certain piece of content and they throw up unrelated like advertisement content to me, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I like if a website does their advertising like tastefully, and I really enjoy their content, I will whitelist it, because generally that means like the ad is not right in your fucking face. It's very like subtle, like this is an ad, but it's not the biggest thing there. It's like maybe just a tiny portion or something. And it's not auto-playing videos, because that was one of the ad types that was on speedrun.com and probably still is, were auto-playing videos, which are the fucking worst advertisement. I swear to God, whoever invented those, like, sledgehammer to the face and lose your teeth for 6 generations, because they are the worst.
Yeah, they could have like, you're watching a video, you have it set at a certain volume, and the ad is like 10 times louder.
Yeah, and then it's kind of nice that with the auto-playing, web browsers specifically had to implement auto-muting of video, because ads were so bad that you would just go to a web page and there would just be random noises playing. And sometimes they still do. The fact that we had to like change the way our web browsers work because the ads are that bad, there's definitely a problem.
I remember it was a quote from one of the, not Alan Turing, but another one of the really early like people making computers, is that like they're like, once these get more personalized, I imagine like the first thing they'll do is write like code to prevent advertisements from being shown. It's like, yeah, they knew their shit even like 70 years ago.
So okay, so I just actually, holy shit. Okay, I just turned off my ad blocker on speedrun.com, okay? Just for like first-hand proof. So at the very top there's a banner On the very right-hand side, I have an auto-playing video for UFC Canada. I then have underneath that another auto-playing ad for UFC. And then in the bottom corner, which scrolls with the page and blocks off the bottom half of the speedrun, because you know how on speedrunner.com there's the little camera to click to watch the VOD of the person's PB on the leaderboard? Half of those are blocked off because there's a fucking Xbox auto-playing video ad right now there. And I can't even find the X button to get rid of it right now. So yeah, this is fucking atrocious.
And there's been some other changes as well, some smaller stuff. Like I noticed that they have like a more tab at the top of their navigation, and they used to have like a podcast section and some other stuff that I forget was there, but they've removed the majority of it. Who's got the info for the Mario Bros record? Because I don't.
I know it happened.
Nifty?
Niftrosky, yeah.
Niftrosky.
Niftkey. They changed their name, yeah.
Oh, an emulator with a keyboard controller.
It's supposed to be like really close to the task, right? Or like as close as people said was like humanly possible.
Yeah, like the human realistic task or whatever it's called.
I think the only thing they could do is save like one more frame, but I think somebody might have also already done it now. So yeah, the thing that people thought a human would never reach, basically, a human reached it, which is pretty big news, because that game is pretty decompiled speedrun-wise to the point, you know, when you start have to counting in frames and you have to bring in frame rules and all that stuff, you know things are tight on the leaderboards.
And in terms of, like, yeah, just video games, it's like one of the most notorious games.
Well, that's pretty cool. Congratulations to, what was it again? Nifty?
Niftrosky.
Niftsky is how the
Niftsky
is how the thing says it is.
Nifty, got it. Yeah, nifty. And another bit of news is that Dragon Quest continues to be broken. First it was the hot plate, and now it's some other shit.
Yeah, so they came at this point. It must just be like the community memeing and trying to figure out what ridiculous ways they can beat the game. But the way that they figured it out now is that they get to a certain point in the game where like a text box is open, and then like they pull the cartridge out and they put in like fucking Kirby or something, and then they pull that out and put the game back in, and they pull that out and put like like they're swapping game carts around between like 2-3 different games because the games kind of access the memory values in different ways. And swapping the games like this while the game is running, or there might be a soft reset. In either case, like the game is still functioning. It like the console's still on and everything. And swapping all these games and like going to like level 20 in or whatever it is in Dr. Mario and stuff like that changes the memory in Dragon Quest. So when you put the Dragon Quest cart back in, and I think like you move and like start up another text box, it goes to the end credits. So we've now gone beyond like arbitrary code execution to just like, fuck this game's code, we're using other games' codes.
Wouldn't that just be a subset of arbitrary code execution?
Yeah, because I mean it's kind of iffy because at least the way that I understand arbitrary code execution is that you're using the game itself to code what you want it to do. But in this case, you're using a different game which just takes the same kind of information and runs it in its own way. So you're not really arbitrary code execution. You're using building blocks that are already made, right? So but
it would
that
probably
would still be a
subset of arbitrary.
Yeah, it would probably still be a subset of yeah. You're right.
All right, and our last piece of news is the ESA Whistleblower, which may or may not be Sven, we'll see. But this is someone who called into question ESA's finances between, what was it, like this year and last year, or was it 2019 and 2020?
It was the most recent year because I believe it was, I believe because they are a corporate entity, technically, their tax filings are public.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go to the Swedish government websites and look up their income and stuff like that because it's publicly reported.
Right. And so they were saying or trying to blow the whistle on essentially Edenol and Planks taking in a bunch of money specifically as the only two ESA employees and saying that they were sort of disenfranchising or screwing their volunteers out of money, because they had to do a Save ESA type of donation drive at one point. And how could they do that when they've increased the salaries of their only two employees? And so that was kind of, at least that's what I understood to be the crux of the blowing of the whistle blow.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, because a lot of it is kind of drama baity, but I think, first off, a lot of people learned that ESA is like a business. These Enel Planks, and I honestly forget Enel's wife's name, but she's also an employee. She's like the business side. Like, if anybody watches Linus Tech Tips, you know how there's like Linus, and then there's Yvonne, who's Linus's wife, and she does all the finances and accounting and everything else. Kind of same situation with ESA. And I think Enel actually mentioned that they have a fourth employee doing something. So the finances there are for 4 employees, it turns out. Because there were a lot of people going like, oh, this is a lot of money to split for like one person. And no, it's actually getting split multiple ways. And once you do the very basic math on that, it's a honestly kind of standard-ish living wage, maybe not even, because I don't know what people normally get paid for that kind of work. Because at the end of the day, it is a lot of
in Sweden too. I don't know.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's a lot of like kind of AV conference event style technology work, right? Like they're putting on events and stuff like that, and that is literally how they get paid to put food on the table. This is their only job, as far as we know. So I think people were aghast about that.
Well, there was some question as to like whether or not they should have gone full time into ESA in the first place and stuff, when they could have spread it around or give people free tickets or done this and that, when, they're trying to put on these break the record events and shit. They've got contracts with Twitch, and they have like a live arcade now, don't they too?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020. If COVID didn't happen, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have done the decisions that they were gonna do. I really don't know what to say to people being mad that somebody's making money and they aren't. Because like, if we want to bring up GDQ makes money as well. There's paid staff positions there, and they also get paid money. I don't see anybody outraged about the fact that they're making money. And they also have free volunteers and everything like that. But somehow that's not a problem.
Well, there was outrage, but it was back in the day.
It reminds me of how, years ago, it was like, there was a lot of people who just viewed as like profiting off of not just speedrunning, but like video game streaming in general. They viewed it as unethical. And
now we have Twitch.tv.
Oh, that was still on Twitch. I was like, people, like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was more like, it was like the charity aspect of it, where they were, because the charity was paying them to put on the event to raise money for charity. And so they're like, well, why aren't they just using all of that money for charity instead of paying the employees, and all the employees or whatever could just stay volunteers, and then it's all strictly a charity thing.
I mean, it's mostly bullshit.
It's unreasonable.
I think people don't understand that, yes, things are for charity. This doesn't mean that literally every single thing is free, because I've worked on charity events when I was still actually working, not COVID, right? And you have the employees of the charity, right? Okay, they need to plan everything, find sponsors and stuff like that. And a sponsorship doesn't mean like, oh, I will do everything for 100% free. No, it can mean that you'll maybe get a severe discount. But there's also the fact that like, okay, if you're using my services, like I still have employees that I have to pay. So, maybe the product is free, but I still need costs of labor because I need like a team of people to show up for your event or whatever, right? Like somebody still has to get paid to do this. Nobody's going to go like massively in the hole. You at least want a return of your labor costs. So that's a cost right there. There's also the fact that there is marketing costs. If you're doing a fundraiser, you need to make sure that people realize you have a fundraiser. So now you have all this social media and marketing costs. That has to go to somewhere as well. So just because something's for charity and it's like quote unquote free there's a lot of back-end costs that are associated with this. People be mad that people be making money and they're not, is basically how I sum up the situation.
If you're gonna hate anyone, hate people like Jeff Bezos and shit like that who have like predatory corporate practices driving people into poverty.
Well, shall we discuss some recommendations?
Yes. I'll start. As a recommendation, I want to actually recommend people watch the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, which is the new Mighty Ducks TV show on Disney Plus. For whatever reason, I've heard kind of negative thoughts on it. Of course, I don't know if these people have actually watched it or not. So there's some people who just like vehemently oppose reimaginings or sequels of beloved things that they used to watch. But me and my brother have been watching it, and we actually really enjoy it. It seems like there's a bit of some history being changed. Like for example, the Ducks are like the biggest and greatest team, and they've won so many trophies in the past couple of years. But then, if you've watched the first movie, you'll realize that even the amount that they're touting that they have is less than the Hawks had in the first movie, which was the biggest and greatest team before the Mighty Ducks were made. So it's kind of a little bit weird in that, but there's a lot of good character development that goes on, especially between like the kids and everything like that. And the show is very kind of self-aware as well. The main character's mom, who is kind of really annoying, but like they explain that in the show. The characters are very aware in the fact that she is annoying. Like other characters pointed out, and it's like, do you always have to do this? So it's not one of those where it's like this character is annoying and nobody's talking on it and I really freaking hate it. It's no. These characters have flaws and other characters realize that they have flaws. And it just kind of makes it more natural when things don't get kind of swept under the rug. And honestly, I just think it's pretty enjoyable so far. At least the 5 episodes that we've watched so far. There's probably still going to be more. I don't know how many, but however much season 1 has, but it's ongoing, and I really enjoy the show.
Cool.
Niglaria, what are you recommending?
Fuck it. I don't really have a recommendation, so I'll just say go watch a movie with Nicolas Cage, because they're funny.
Alright, which Nicolas Cage movie, though, should they pick first?
Drive Angry.
I don't think
Con
I've actually
Air.
watched that one. Con Air I definitely have watched multiple times. Put the bunny down.
Drive Angry or Con Air, yeah. They're both quality.
It's just, Con Air is so good. So good.
All right, well, my recommendation would be to give Dominion Tank Police a watch. It's a older anime.
Ooh, what's it about?
It's about the police who use tanks to enforce the law.
Alright, I'm sold.
Are they good guys?
No.
Okay.
It's a comedy anime, so they think they're helping. It's also set in the future.
Kind of like Team America World Police.
Yeah, but even more in the future. Like, think more like Ghost in the Shell. Like,
Right.
there's like legit cat girls in it.
Okay.
And also like cyborg looking people, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely distant future, but also from the 80s, so it was really funny. All right, so for our question and answer section, we don't have any questions right now. We also missed last month's episode, so it's kind of understandable. We also had the gigantic Speed Awards, and we got a whole bunch of responses for that one, so thanks again for that. And if you missed that episode, it was pretty damn long, so we did so many awards. But we do have our link at the bottom of probably wherever you're listening at for our Q&A link, which is just a Google form. Fill that out if you have any questions for us. But we do have a question for y'all, which is we're thinking about, or at least I was thinking about, getting back into doing some interviews for some of our episodes. In the past, we've done like OmniGamer and other folks, and we just want to see who you would like to see on the podcast. Is there anybody that you would feel interested in any of the 3 of us or any of our other hosts in talking to? Let us know. So, moving on to the main topic, which is burnout in speedrunning. Although really, I guess, kind of more generally, since it can really be affected by multiple different things and mediums and whatnot. But We mentioned before in the episode about burnout as it specifically relates to online marathons, and I know I've been feeling that specifically. I don't know what to do with the typical online speedrun marathon format that would spice it up in any way to make it better, other than having like personalities and folks that people already want to see, regardless of the fact that they would be on a speedrun stream or not, which makes it like not intrinsically necessarily about the speedrunning, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like I don't know how else you spice it up.
Yeah, that's been one of the annoying parts of not being able to do an in-person marathon. And I'm sure we're not the only ones who have that sentiment. There's a lot of things that you'd like to do with on-site things with people and like physical interactions with things and everything else, and you just can't. And there's only so much that you can do virtually. So, that, like I said, online marathons have been kind of meh for me recently. There's not too much that kind of spice it up. Actually, the Polish speedrun marathon I was in was probably the last speedrun I actually did as well, which was Tetris Effect Connected, and I think I did that in March. But for me, like that marathon was interesting to me, mainly because it's in Polish, a language that I don't really get to speak often, except for with my family, and you know, it's really interesting being able to speak that with other people and having people like listen to you. I don't know. That part of my brain just kept like firing, and I was reading donations as well. So, you know, there's words that I've potentially never had to read before, but I knew what they are, and I have to figure out, okay, that's how they actually sound and stuff like that. I also had my own speedruns, and I kind of spiced things up with it because Tetris Effect Connected is a super kind of cool soundtrack. So I put up like a blanket. I hung it with like my 2 tripods for photography, and then I had the lights. If you've noticed, in actual NASA events, I have lights that we put on curtains and stuff, and they're just colors. But they have a microphone that they'll change to the beat. So whenever there was like a clap or something in the songs and soundtracks, the background music would change as well. So kind of like when every piece drops and stuff. So that was kind of interesting to me. But beyond that, like my brain just, when there's new things, that's when you're most interested, and that's when you're like motivated to do things. That's why people who have jobs that constantly like keep them challenged, they'll stay at their job, and if they're not being challenged, they move on to different places of employment and stuff like that. So that's why like I don't get how people can just continuously speedrun the same game over and over and over, and there has to be some other drive going on there.
Well, there's still new things being found in those games.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that they're just doing the same route. Or some games are just super freaking long, you know, they're like over an hour. Like, I'm thinking about Ocarina of Time 100%. Like, that time has come way down. You know, I'm thinking about someone like ZFG who's been speedrunning the same game for super long. But he's been doing, like, new things, new categories, different stuff, different routes, you know, trying different routes. So, I don't know, he's been spicing it up still.
Yeah, and it differs per person. Like some people, they won't have a problem doing the same thing. That's like their shit.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like when I burn out, I kind of like stop playing it forever. Somewhat like Sonic 1, I haven't really played in like 5 years. Same with a bunch of the other older games. I kind of just drop them forever. And it's like, I might pick it up again if I feel like it, but I don't know. I think the game I put the most time into, F-Zero GX, it is like super, super challenging. There's always shit to do. And I guess, yeah, I haven't had an update in that game in like a year, but it's still like the least burnout-y game for me. I mean, if you have a method of fixing burnout, just not just for games, but you know, motivation for anything in general, fucking hit me with that shit.
Yeah, my newest speed game, Atole Princess, with an E at the end, as I mentioned before. And like that's a console that I don't really get to use much. I own it, but it's hard to hook up because it's like in shambles a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think you brought it to the last NASA event we had, right? To kind of test it out.
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's not plug and play as far as I remember.
Not at all. And I also don't own the floppy disks for the game, so like even if I did that, I'd have to emulate the hard disk image anyways, and then I'd have to like, I have like a thing to emulate floppy disk drives for it, but I don't have it installed yet. So it would just be this whole thing. So the game being exclusive to the Sharp, and then also being really fast and being like a different game than I've run before, because it's kind of like a Zelda-like in ways. And like I've done like a little bit of like a Link's Awakening and some other runs, but like nothing that's like very strictly Zelda ish. Like maybe Zombies Ate My Neighbors, but you know, top down perspective, but like even still it's not really the same thing. So that's been spicing it up for me. That's what's made it new. Like the new console and the new like style of game that it is keeps me interested. Although fuck the final boss. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of the same with me. Like, I think most people probably know me for my Tetris speedruns. And it's not that I don't try to speedrun different games. I've tried to speedrun different puzzle games because puzzle games is mainly where it's at with me. I tried speedrunning a little bit of Minecraft Dungeons when it first came out with those crazy guys. We found kind of like some strats, and then a community existed, and then they found more strats, and then they were already my time was already crap, and I was kind of left in the dust, and I was like, okay. I've already played this game like 10 times, and there's not enough kind of interesting stuff for me to keep at it. But with Tetris, there's always some new variation, I guess, that kind of spices things up a little bit. Like, used to do a lot of NES Tetris 100 lines back when SRL was a thing. There was a lot of races of that I did back in the day. And then Magical Tetris Challenge, which I actually did a race with FFR Pro, at which point FFR Pro beat the game. I saw we were behind time, so I basically rage quit, and I'm like, okay, I'd rather rage quit than have the event be more behind on the first day. And then most recently, Tetris Effect Connected, and every single one of those has like a different concept that keeps things fresh. Like NES Tetris, a lot of the modern kind of freebies don't exist. Magical Tetris Challenge has the whole Pentamino thing, so blocks made of 5 instead of 4. And Tetris Effect Connected just has like the cool soundtrack and other stuff. But I haven't played that game since my run, so and that's basically how all my video game playing goes. It's like I get interested in it, I kind of exhaust everything I can do, and I'm like, okay, just next game.
That's one of the appeals for the idea I had with the like record stations for NASA, where people can like get a station and then be there for a couple hours and do some speedruns. You're kind of capturing a moment in time where they are interested in the game and maybe haven't burnt it out because they're taking it to marathons and stuff like that.
I actually wonder if like if having a lack of on-site marathons because of COVID, because that's like another big motivator, like being with people. That's like a lot of people leave GDQs or NASA and all that shit motivated, be like, oh man, this got me wanting to play something. Be curious to see like runs submitted per person on speedrun.com over time.
Right, yeah. Because actually, what thinking about it, when people get to like a GDQ or something like that, they'll actually stop running the game after the marathon because it's like, all right, we're done.
It kind of sucks though for a viewer perspective as well, right? Because you go to what is the biggest speedrun event, viewership wise and everything else in general. You have all these people who are like, oh, I didn't know this person runs this game and that they're so cool, right? And you know, they're so fast at the game. And then they go to their stream and then it's not what they kind of advertise themselves to be, quote unquote. And I don't know, it's just a weird, the viewer ends up in a weird situation that they didn't expect.
I guess if you're going to compare like e-athletes to real ones, it'd be like following Usain Bolt home after the Olympics and be like, dude, why aren't you running?
Right.
Or just like for people who have like, you know, if they've just like performed the thing, they've done their performance. If they're just like, all right, I need a break, and you're like, entertain me. But I could see like something with on site that would be different is that a lot of people can pick up games, having like played with people at on site events. If you're like people who like looked at saw me playing Point Blank or some other game, or I saw someone playing this, so that made me want to get into it.
Yeah, I've definitely come away from marathons wanting to run other games because of conversations I've had, or just, you know, thinking about it while there. Like Chrono Trigger was one. That's how I decided on my retirement once that's happened.
I mean, with on-site events as well, there's the fact that there's kind of no excuse oftentimes. Like, if somebody is running or playing a video game, they'll just be like, well, here, try it out. right? Because, how long are you going to practice most of the time, right? So you just like share your controller and then, or you try to like explain tricks and stuff like that to the person who's kind of paying attention. So it's very different having basically an expert right beside you showing everything how it's done, and then being online and needing to rely on resources that may or may not exist and stuff like that. So you can ask a question and basically get it immediately answered. Not every speedrunning community has like super in-depth resources and people who will instantly kind of like respond to why doesn't this work and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's tough when you're more in a bubble. It's nice once we'll be able to get back to like more in-person stuff and get more variety going. I also think it's important not to force yourself into it. Like, even if you're like, you just get back from GDQ and you just don't feel like speedrunning a video game, just don't do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, in general, it's like that kind of zombie mindset would just lead to like bad mental health.
Yeah, like the princess game that I'm running with the fucking final boss. Like, I was practicing it for a good hour, and it was just like, I was just hitting this plateau where it's like, because it's the same pattern every time, so you just have to do it right, and I'm just not doing it right. And so just getting frustrated, and at a certain point, I was like, all right, I'm just frustrated. I'm not going to improve at this point, and I'm just going to burn myself out rather than reach the next plateau of, like, actually doing it correctly, so let's just stop.
yeah, I mean, I've been playing Tetris the Grandmaster recently. I've picked that up again because there was a point where I was practicing it. I actually own the arcade PCBs and all that stuff, and I was part of the couch for 2 of the outings at GDQ as well. But it just got to the point where I wasn't really improving, or at least it didn't seem like I was improving. I'm like, if I'm not improving, why? Like, I guess that's my plateau, right? So I stopped playing for actually a few years, and now I've picked it back up again. I just kind of play it on my PSP in bed, as there is a arcade to PS1 ROM hack conversion available, and that practicing it, there's points where it's like, okay, I'm improving. My times are getting a little bit more consistent. Like I'm seeing actual improvement. But then like when you're starting to dip and you're getting slower and slower, you're just like, okay, I'm done for the day, because there's only so much that I can practice, and practicing now isn't gonna make me actually improve. If anything, it just might make me worse, because I'll start building like bad habits and stuff like that, right? So you kind of got to know when to cut it off.
Exactly. Yeah, otherwise you'll fall off the plateau, and then you'll be at a lower level than you were playing before. Yeah. So yeah, Burnout sucks. Novelty can really help out in terms of keeping things spicy or trying out a new category, but sometimes with some formats or with some games, there's really only so much you can do.
And breaks are good too. Take a break. Go outside. Nintendo was not memeing with those messages where it's like, you should maybe go outside.
I guess as a leaving note, I was thinking a lot of speedruns will use Japanese for speed. For Scrabble, for high score, you'd want to use Polish, I think?
Potentially. Because there are a lot of digraphs, which are letters that are made up by 2 different letters. So you have your RZ, RZ, S, Sh, J. So there's a lot of digraphs in there. So yeah, you could get some pretty crazy names and crazy words, and they're also a lot longer. There's also a bajillion different ways to say a number. So like the number 1 would be like jeden, jedynka, jedyny, pierwsza, pierwo. Like there's so many different ways to change the way you say 1 or first, because of different gendering and stuff like that. That it would definitely be high up there in bang for buck, letter to word kind of point stuff for Scrabble.
Oh, I have a final thought as well, unless there's anything else to say about Polish Scrabble.
Grzegorz Przęszczykiewicz.
Well, thank you for that. I don't think I fully understand, but my idea. So, what if, and this is maybe dumb, but what if the 3 of us and or 4 of us or 5 of us, depending where Two Worlds and Dark Fox are at, but what if we all chose one game to learn how to speedrun, and then we did it, and then we talked about it next episode? In a similar fashion to say how, like, some podcasts will, like, they'll all watch the same movie, and then they'll talk about it.
Ooh, that could be fun.
It would have to be something really fucking short.
Yeah, nothing over 30 minutes, I would say. It has to be like 10 minutes would be like the sweet spot, I think.
Yeah.
Like, me and some folks did a thing way back in the day where it was like, we would all learn or we would all route the same game, and then we would race it, and then we would, like, route it together was the idea. So it was like, route it ourselves, race it and see who has the best route, and then kind of compile all of our notes together into, like, one big route. But we only did it for Jurassic Park 2 for the Game Boy, which is not a good speed game. It was way too long. There's like a 10-minute level or some shit where you're just being chased by a T-Rex, so it's just an auto-scroller. But we could find a game that's, like, actually fun to speedrun and then maybe do it with. I don't know. Just an idea to float.
Get that macaw shit started right now.
Yeah, right. Well, all right. Thanks everybody for listening. We do appreciate you. Sorry again that we missed May or March or whatever the fuck the month was that we missed. Do either of you guys have an outro to say?
Nah, I got nothing.
Word.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.